As good as a test can sound anyhow? It's exactly like those. Exactly.
You need a new chair.
What?
You need a new chair.
Yeah. I mean, I got a folding one back there, but if you have
I have one right
that'd
now.
be great, yeah. Okay.
I'm going on a college visit on Thursday. So you just want me to come in on office hours tomorrow and Friday for review.
I mean, that's up to you. I mean, it'll all be videoed.
Okay.
And you can just watch it or what, that's up to you. Okay, so I think we're on practice test 2 and we're ready for problem 3C, which is one of these big things. All right, who remembers, we did one of these yesterday. Who remembers what we do, Garrett?
We group them.
So we look at the first 2 terms and what can come out?
X squared.
X squared. And what will be left?
X plus 3.
X plus 3. And then we look, thank you so much, Mrs. Shaw. So then we look at the last 2 and what can come out. I kind of gave you a hint. You're going to take out a negative 4.
4, yeah.
You're always going to take this number out right here. So you're going to take out a negative 4. And that again leaves us with X plus 3 because we took out the negative. And this is what has to happen. We have to have a match. So we write our match down. And then we write down the leftovers, which are x squared minus 4. And then we notice that x squared minus 4 is the difference of squares, which is x plus 2, x minus 2. And then we have our answer, which is x equals, no number line, just x equals what?
Minus 3.
Negative 3,
Negative 2.
negative 2,
Positive.
and 2, in any order. The order of those doesn't make a difference. Alright, you okay?
Is it okay we write like that, or do you want us to put in parentheses?
It doesn't need, it's not an interval. This is the answer, x equals. Alright, how about this guy? What do we do with this? Distribute the negative. Okay, and then combine like terms. So we have negative 2 minus 3i. Done. Now, does everybody understand why this problem is not a FOIL? It's not a FOIL because it's not a times, it's a subtract. So we're not foiling that one. If it looked like this, with nothing in there, then we would FOIL it. But as it is, we are subtracting it.
What if it was like subtraction and add a coefficient and put up the second?
You would distribute it. Yep, you distribute the coefficient, just like you did the negative. That's like a negative 1 there. Okay? Alright, here we go. What about this one? Somebody cites Derek. Multiply by Derek, you're awesome, but somebody else has to participate here.
No, I got
You're awesome, though, thank you. We're gonna multiply top and bottom, Mary said, by the conjugate. Remember, the conjugate is change middle sign. Now, these are FOILs, right? I am going to be FOILing here. So, on the top, first, outside, inside, last. And remember, when you times a 3i times a 3i, you're going to get 9i squared. Just like you do with x's. First, outside, inside, lasts. All right, now tell me about the top of my thing. I've got it all foiled out. What happens here? negative 9. And A makes negative 1 plus 18i. Does that look okay to everybody?
Yep.
And then what happens on the bottom? Well, lots of good things. These are gone. And this becomes a plus 9. So there is my answer. All right, here we go. Simplify. Look at this a piece at a time. All right, so let's start right here. What can I do with 4 over 12? Makes it 1/3. How about x to the 5th over x to the 10th? X to the 5th on the bottom. Remember, we got 5 over 10. That's going to give us 5 in the bottom. Now the y's are a little bit more problematic. This guy's negative. That means he has to go to the top. So you're taking those 3 to the top. But there's already 8 of them up there. So now what do we have? 11. Why did you have? This 1, you can take it or leave it, doesn't matter. Since there's something else up there, we can erase that 1 and keep it. Is that okay? Now this one, nobody's gonna miss. What is the equation of the circle? If the center is at 2, negative 1. Oh man, we're in trouble. X minus 2 squared, y plus 1 squared equals what? 25 r squared. Yep, that number right there is always r squared. You gotta remember that's the equation of the circle. Why is it x minus 2? Because it's always the opposite. And the x value is 2. So x minus 2 squared, y plus 1 squared. No work to show. We just gotta know that's what the equation of the circle looks like. All right, now I got 2 points. And I'm gonna write the equation in a line, and again, I didn't put any directions on here, I gotta fix that. So let's do it both. Let's do point slope and slope intercept, just in case.
Close.
All right, so regardless, how do we start? What do we have to do first? Gotta find the slope. So slope is 6 minus 4 over 1 minus 2. Did you get negative 2?
Yes.
All right, now what?
Big point.
Pick a point. I'll just use this one. It doesn't matter, right? Never matters. Just pick one. Y minus 4 equals negative 2. X minus 2. This would be the point slope form. So if the direction said answer in point slope form, this would be the answer. What if it says slope intercept form? Then we just pick up right here and distribute. And y by itself. So negative 2x plus 8. These are the same line. They're both right answers. It just depends how we're supposed to answer. Okay? We're gonna do the same thing, but now we want to be parallel to this, parallel, and contain the point 2 negative 3. Let's see. So what's the first thing we have to do? Find the slope. Only we do that differently this time. How do we find the slope this time? Get y by itself. So subtract 6x. So negative 3y equals 10 minus 6x. And then divide by negative 3. So y equals negative 10 thirds plus 2x, 6 over 3, 2x. So what did I do that for? What was the purpose of that? To find the slope. What is the slope? 2. Remember, it's what's hooked to x, mx. That's your slope. Now, I want to be parallel. So what slope should I use? Same one. If I were perpendicular, I would use negative 1/2. But I'm parallel, so I'm using the same slope. So y plus 3 equals 2x minus 2. And here's your point slope for. Everybody okay with that? You don't get to pick a point, you have to use this one, it's the only one you got. And then if I want slope intercept, it looks like 2x minus 7 would be my slope intercept. And you're just gonna write down the one that's asked for. Okay? All right, nope, now we have our projectile motion problem. All right, so here's our formula. And part 1, or part A, what is our equation for this problem? If you don't like S and T notation, remember you can always think of it as H, because this is the height. This is the height. So if you are confused by the function notation, think of it as H. All right, what's it gonna be? Negative 16t squared always, and then what?
Plus 80.
Plus 80t
Plus 20.
plus 20. Everybody okay with that? Remember, this is V, this is your velocity. That's your initial height, 20 feet building, 20 feet tall building. All right, that's question A, done. Okay, you get points for that. Easy, just plug in the numbers. Now, B, how high is the ball after 1 second? So you gotta do something with that 1 second. What are you gonna do with it? Plug it in for t, because it's a second, it's time. So we're gonna find our height. So we're gonna plug in 1. And we're not gonna get all crazy on this, kids. What's 1 squared? Remember, PEMDAS, square first. What's 1 squared? So this is negative 16 plus 80 plus 20. I got 84 feet, but double check that. Okay? Now, I didn't think to talk about this earlier, but I remember now. This gives us issues sometimes. PEMDAS, square first. Square first. So whatever this number is, square it first. All right, C. When is the ball on the ground?
0.
I'm gonna put a 0 in for the height. So 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 80t plus 20. And then I can either graph this on my calculator, or I can solve it using the quadratic formula. So you have to do whatever, you know, you're most comfortable with on that problem. If you're going to solve it graphically, then that's the equation you put in. Hit graph, find the zeros. The picture will look something like this again, and you're gonna find that point. If you're gonna solve it with the quadratic formula, then you can go ahead and use A, B, C, or you could divide everything by, actually 4 this time, negative 4. If you wanted to, you don't have to. You can solve it just like this. I'm gonna go ahead and divide everything by negative 4. So I'm gonna solve the equation 4t squared minus 20t minus 5. I'm gonna solve that equation. You do need to know the quadratic formula, guys, not necessarily for this problem, but for that other problem that is on the test that you'll need the formula for. So make sure you know it, even if you're not using it for this problem. You are allowed to graph this problem if you wish. Do it with the quadratic formula. I hope that's not right. I got 5.239. You guys that did it graphically, did you get that?
Yes.
And then if you do it by hand or with the formula, you're also going to get a negative answer. And what did we decide about negative answers? We don't want them, right? So that one's going to be extraneous. So make sure if you're doing it graphically, make sure you came up with that answer. If you're doing it by hand, make sure you came up with that answer. All right. Last one on this paper, number 9. What's going on here? So first we're going to find the distance. That's what this means. And then we're going to find the midpoint. All right, so distance got to be radical. What's going to go under the radical? 6 minus 4 squared. And 11 minus 1 squared. Remember, it's always x minus x, y minus y. 6 minus 4. 2 squared 4. 11 minus 1 squared. So I got the square root of 104, and I just have a feeling I'm going to have to break that down. Okay? Now, you break it down whatever works for you. When I see an even number, I usually think about getting, or dividing by 2. So 2 times 52. 2 times 26. 2 times 13. Now I'm done. Now when I go to reduce this thing, I need groups of 2, right? So a 2 is gonna come out, but nothing else, because there's only one of these. So 2 root 26 is gonna be my answer. Remember, it's all multiplied. All multiplied. So 2 times 13. How we find midpoint? Last question. Add the x's and divide by 2. So 4 plus 6, 10, divided by 2, 5. 1 plus 11, divided by 2, 6. There you go, there's your midpoint. Test 2, practice test 2 completed. All right, here we go, number 3, last one. Looks just like the other ones. Here we go, properties right off the bat. What, you recognize any of them? The first one's distributive. How about the other 2? Do you recognize either one of those? Which one? What?
Additive.
What's added? For C?
No.
B? Well, C is the additive identity, because when you add 0, you get the identical thing back again. Now B is a little bit tricky. If you read the left side, just read the letters, it says 5xy. If you read the right side, it says x, y, 5. Now wait a second. We changed the order, didn't we? Didn't the order of the things change? And when the order changes, it's commutative. And it's of addition, commutative of addition. When the order changes, not the grouping, X and Y are still grouped. The order changed. That's commutative. All right, so this is points on your test, okay? We don't want to blow these points. Where can we find extra practice between now and Friday? In our notes, at the end of the notes packet. The formulas are all listed on one page, the ones you need to know. And then there's practice on another page in your notes packet. Okay. All right, here we go. Quadratic formula will work. So we're not graphing this one, we're solving this algebraically. The only one we're graphing is our projectile motion. This one we're solving algebraically. So x equals, what's the formula say? 27. Oh my. I don't know, what's 27 squared? 729. Minus 4ac all over 2a. So 27 gonna believe this, but 841 is a perfect square. What is the square root of 841? Who has that memorized? I don't. Type it in. What's the square root of 841? 29. So we have 27 plus or minus 29 over 8. Now I went ahead and checked this on my calculator, and luckily it worked out to be 29. If it didn't, I would have to start trying to break it down, right? But this thing worked out perfectly. So now my two answers are 27 plus 29 over 8 and 27 minus 29 over 8. All right, what's 27 plus 29? 56 divided by 8 is 7. 27 minus 29 is -2, -1/4. And those are the answers to the problem. X is 7, or X is -1/4. Everybody okay? The numbers are bad, for sure. But the calculator can go. Everybody still here? All right, next, what happens? What do we do? First of all, see that right there? Number line. Every time. Number line. Kendall, you with us? Okay. Now what? Right in the middle of the number line, I'm gonna put a number. That number is gonna be the opposite of that one, so it's gonna be 2. And then out here is gonna be a dot, and out here is gonna be a dot, and those dots are gonna be how far away from 2? 3. So this one is 5, this one is -1. I'm gonna color those dots in because of that. And then I'm gonna shade. And when there are 2 dots, I'm either gonna shade out or in. So this one is going to be in. So my answer is -1 to 3, or 5, I mean, -1 to 5. I'm using brackets because my dots are close. Right? Alrighty, what you gonna do with C? What? I thought I heard something.
Find a common denominator.
Yep. So 3x plus 1 minus 2x plus 1 equals 2. And what will our common denominator be? 24. So we're going to turn them all into 24s, including this one. So this one times 3. This one times 8. And this one times 24. Here we go. 9x plus 3. Watch this arithmetic very carefully. Minus 16x minus 8. Everybody catch that? -8. Nine minus 16 is -7. And 3 minus 5 is, or 3 minus 8 is -5. So I'll add 5. I got -53 sevenths. What about you? No number line, just x equals. We have some more solves. Here's another solve. But this one has an inequality, which means I'll have a number line. What do you think I should do? Factor it. Right? And this causes us issues sometimes, so we're gonna check it. What's our first attempt here? X what?
-5 plus 2.
-5 plus 2, that's our first attempt. Let's check it and see. Does that work out? I think so. So our dots are gonna be where on our number line? We're gonna have a dot at, oh, where?
-2, +5.
+5, -2. Where do the dots go? Opposite, right? And they're open. And this time I'm going to be shaded out. So -infinity, -2, or 5 infinity. What do you think? Emergency pass is right there. Okay? All right. Not bad. Not bad. Oh, speaking of not bad, B was easy. What are you gonna do with B?
Square both sides.
Square both sides. So x plus 5 equals 36. And x equals and C is what we actually started with today, the kind of problem we started with this morning. What's our strategy with C? Grouping. All right, so what comes out of the first two?
X squared.
X squared. And left we will have x minus 2. Now be careful, what comes out of the last two? -9. And then what's left? X minus 2. We took out a negative, so that made that a negative. There's your common factor. And then left over is x squared minus 9, which is x plus 3, x minus 3. And I'm ready to write my answer. X equals 2, -3, 3. Done. So far, everybody on board? All right. Tell me what you got for 4. See if you can do this. I'll do it up here too, but you do A and B. We've already practiced these ones today. Okay, for A, did you get just negative 1i?
Yes.
Okay, good. The numbers canceled out, okay. What you got? Okay, we're good. Everybody kind of know what's going on with these guys. All right, let's look at our exponent problem then. Well, this one's a little tougher. I think we can sort through it. What about 8 over 28? Let's just start there.
2 7.
That reduces to 2 over 7. Regular reducing, like regular fraction. Is that okay? Now these x's are tricky because these 5 are gonna come down and these 10 are gonna go up. So does that make sense to everybody? That basically these guys are flip-flopping because they're both negative? So what happens? Now I have 10 of them over 5 of them. So I'm gonna have 5 of them on the top. What happens with my y's? Now don't flip-flop the y's. That is positive, so he's going nowhere. These, however, are coming down. So those 8 are coming down, but there's already 3 staying down there. So that will give me y to the 11 on the bottom. All right. All right, write the equation of the circle. Do it right now on your paper. You need to look at our last example. Go ahead and look at our last example. But you're going to write this without my help. We've already done 2, just like it on the other practice test, guys. So look back at that work. All right, Cole, what you got?
X plus 4 squared. Y plus 3 squared.
What, plus 2 squared?
Plus 3 squared, yeah. It's number 6.
Is it
3.
This is 3
Yeah.
and 6?
Yeah. Or was it 36?
I don't know. What do you guys think? Leonardo?
If it's a radical, don't you square it? So it would be 6, right?
It would be 6.
Okay.
Yeah, remember, this is r squared. So if R is root 6, when I square root 6, I just get 6. That look okay to everybody? How long does that problem take? 5 seconds, right? No work, then know what you're doing. So hopefully now you know, because that's gonna be a question. All right, now we're gonna do the line. So it contains this point and this point. All right, so take a second, come up with a line. Come up with it in slope-intercept form and in point-slope form. I should see everybody's pencil writing on the paper. What are you writing? What is step 1? Finding the slope. So everybody should be finding the slope. Lemos, what'd you get for your slope? Perfect. So did I. Everybody in agreement?
Yep.
Now our point slopes might look different depending on which point you use. So if you use this point, it would look like y plus 2 equals 2x minus 3. If you use this point, y minus 4 equals 2x minus 6. So make sure that you have one of these for your point slope. Does anybody have a question about that? You only need one of them. Could be either one. Now, we're all gonna have the same slope-intercept form, though. And that is going to be y equals 2x minus 8. No matter which point slope, you're gonna get this. Alright, anybody have a question about that? Anybody not get that? Oh, hello?
Point slope, did you use the first one? And one in parentheses? Like the 3 comma minus 2?
I did that one here,
Okay.
but I used this one over here. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't, okay.
They're both equally fine. They look different, but they're the same thing. All right, now we have B. And this is the one for some reason that we mess up a little bit. So let's look at B. We want to be perpendicular to this line. And we want to contain this point. Now, what is the first thing we're going to do?
Your y by
Find the slope. And to find the slope, we're going to Charles Ewing. To find the slope, we're going to get y by itself. So when you do the math, you do the math. You do the math. On that equation, get y by itself. So do it. Just making sure you can. All right, when you got y by itself,
Got foot? Yes.
Now, the only important part of all this work here is this number right here, right? Because MX, that is the
Oh, you can.
slope. Now, the last problem we did like this, we were doing parallel. And if we're doing parallel, then we will use that number. But this time, we're doing perpendicular. So our slope is going to be -3, the opposite reciprocal. And then we're gonna go ahead using this point and that slope. We're gonna write our equation.
Someone back
Y minus 2 equals -3, x minus 1.
here. Slap that.
I got this for my point slope, and I got this for my slope intercept. Nod? You good? I made a mistake? It's okay? All right?
These are easy.
All right, ball is thrown into the air from ground level. Here's your projectile motion problem. Let's see if we can get through it. What is our equation for this problem? H equals, H is fine. This I have written in the answer blank, but go ahead and put H. H is fine. H equals what?
-16
-16 t squared
plus 100t.
plus 100 t plus 0. Because why? We are throwing it from the ground. So the initial height is 0. We're not on a building, right? We're on the ground. Okay, so there's A. B says, how high is the ball after 1 second? Well, we'll just plug in 1. You get 84 again? Why do I feel like I got that already?
Yep.
Is that what that is, 84?
Yes, ma'am.
Last one this morning. When does the ball hit the ground? What do? I want to know when the ball hits the ground. Set it to 0. And then what are my options? I can graph it. Now this one's gonna look a little different because it didn't come off a building. This one's gonna look like this. Right? Because it started on the ground. Or, could you use the quadratic formula on this? Yeah. You have an A, you have a B, but your C would be 0? I'm gonna go ahead and divide, this is just how I do these, so I'm gonna divide that -4. So 0 equals 4t squared minus 25t. So you can graph it. You can use the quadratic formula. This one, you could actually also factor. Take out a DCF. No matter how you do it, you should get 2 answers. And your 2 answers are 0 and then 6.25. Did anybody graph it and get 6.25?
Yes.
Perfect. And that would be 6.25 seconds. Make sure you put a unit on there. Now, I went through that kind of fast. I'm gonna stop there and let everybody catch up, turn back a couple papers. And next time then, which is Wednesday, no,
Thursday.
today's Tuesday, Thursday. So on Thursday, we will do, we have one more problem to do here, we'll wrap that up. And then we'll do extra practice that you wanna do. Some of you really need to spend some extra time with your P7 homework. I am returning some that's been turned in, it is not pretty. For the most part. So, take a little time and get that, figured out. And come on Thursday with whatever questions you still have. And then remember, excuse me, on Friday, those of you who want to start early,